our pet stays healthy and stays fine if you don't do anything. So you don't have to do anything and it just stays fine. What we'll do in this lesson is implement a timer so that every certain amount of time, the health of the pet decreases and the fun of the pet decreases. So it's getting bored and it's also getting sick or less healthy. Also, we want to check that if any of these properties ever reaches the value of 0 or a negative value, then that means game over, and we want to show the animation frame that has the crosses in the eyes so that the pet is dead, and we'll restart the game. That's game over. So let's begin by implementing this counter. We can implement in Phaser a loop. There's an object called time that allows us to create these sort of behaviors. So what we want to do is decrease the health every 5 seconds. So we'll create a timer and we're going to call it stats decreaser. We can initiate this timer, and then we can also stop it anytime we need to. So we'll create one by doing this.game.time. That gives us this time object. Events.loop. We're creating now a loop. How often is this going to go? You can type phaser.timer.second. That's a constant for seconds. Times 5, so every 5 seconds. What will happen every 5 seconds? We will call this method that we need to create called reduce properties. This.reduce properties. And we also pass it the context this, so that we can access this inside of reduce properties. Let's now implement reduce properties. This should be a very simple method. Reduce properties function. And that method, all it's going to do is just decrease the health and the fun and refresh the stats so that we're showing an updated version of these values. This will be this.pet.customparameters.health minus equal 10. So it's going to decrease 10 every 5 seconds. And we'll make the fun diminish a faster rate because people get bored before they actually get sick and die. And we need to refresh the stats as well. So how does this, what happens now? If you wait 5 seconds, you should see that this decreases in 10, in 15, and so forth. Now, what happens when this reaches 0? We need to check that. And we're going to add our update method. Update method works in all Phaser games. You can have an update method, and this is executed multiple times per second. And what happens here gets checked all the time. So in here you want to add any kind of check that always needs to be checked. So for example, if I decrease this, if I make it so unhealthy that it dies, as soon as that happens, I want to be able to stop the game, because otherwise see how we are decreasing, and over time it's decreasing even more. So that's not realistic for our game. So in here we'll check that if our pet has either a health that's less or equal than 0, or the same check but for fun. Same check but for fun. If any of these things is true, then we will just set the corresponding value. Then we will set the pet.frame equals 4. And that will make it look like it's dead with the X in the eyes. This frame in particular, let me show you. This one here, that will be frame number 4. And then we also want to block the UI because you can't do anything else. It's too late for you. We want to block the UI. And we want to wait a couple of seconds so that the person can actually see what happened. So we're going to do another of these timers. Game.time.event.add. And this one's different than the loop. The loop will keep on happening. This will happen just once. So all we say is that in 2 seconds, call this new method called game over, which we have to create now, and we pass the context. Let's create that game over method. For now, it's only gonna restart the game. That's all it's gonna do. This.game.state.restart. So the current state of the game will restart. This state would be the game state. So game state will restart. Let's test this. I'm gonna make it sick. So the health is decreasing. The health is decreasing a bit more. Poor pet. And now we get this, and after 2 seconds, the game restarted. So now we have again 100 of the fun, and the timers, as you can see, have been initiated again. So to summarize, game.time gives us all these different alternatives to do things every X amount of time. So if you use loop, that will give you that will allow you to carry out an action every X seconds. And you can save that in a method so that you can eventually stop it as well. You should look at the documentation for time for more details on all the things you can do. We implemented this that decreases the health and the fun every 5 seconds. And then we created our update method, which gets executed multiple times per second, and in that update we're always checking whether the health or the fun reached 0. And if that happened, the pet is pretty much dead, and the UI is now blocked, so you can't do anything else, you can't save it. And after 2 seconds with the dead phase, you are restarting the game. That's what we've implemented in this lesson.